Greetings and welcome to the Open-Minded Skeptic podcast. My name is Sharon Ann Rowland and I'm your host. Today we'll be interviewing Universal Shaman Amanda Jean Deering. Amanda Jean is a Bachelor of Metaphysical Science. She is a teacher, writer, natural holistic practitioner, and of course a Universal Shaman psychic. She's been actively on her path for 25 years and has the joy and pleasure to be doing what she loves for her career. She is a traditional naturopath, master herbalist, master counsellor, remedial massage practitioner, external sport injury practitioner, as well as a practitioner of reflexology, cupping, acupressure, and ear candling. So, AJ, what is a holistic practitioner in Australia today?
Okay, so a holistic practitioner is someone that isn't just limited to, say, for instance, one line of thinking. So it's not so like, for instance, you'll get some people who are just healers. They work on an energetic level. They're working through their Reiki, their Shakim, their Palawa, crystal healing. They will work through a singular, like, I guess, way. And then you've got others that are, more physically minded. So they're working through the cellular, the physical body, be it, naturopathically or whatever, or even, from, a massage or remedial or structural point of view. Mm-hmm. And then you've got those people that work through the mind and the psyche through, I guess, dealing with, counseling or psychotherapy or, remodeling the brain. And then you've got those that deal with the spiritual health, so be it like a religious practitioner, like a priest or a someone who is, a spiritual minister or something like that. So for a holistic practitioner is someone that basically works on all levels. So it's not just, I don't limit my my practice to just one avenue of working with someone. I tend to find that I deal a lot more with not only the three main ones, physical, emotional, and mental health, but also spiritual health, because, we're finding more so nowadays people are needing that full approach rather than a singular-minded approach, and it tends to help open them up and bring a lot more balance in the whole system rather than just on one layer. So, yeah.
Do you have a particular modality or methodology that you prefer to use yourself or practice? Is it like if somebody walks in, do you base it on the person that's walking in what you go to? Because you've got, let's face it, you've got a bag. So you've got that bag from Harry Potter that Hermione carries around. Do you know the one I'm talking about? Which is,
absolutely.
You kind of put your hand in and you pull out the one that best suits the client or the customer.
Exactly.
How it works.
So each person that walks through my door is, I'm not sitting there going, okay, I think you need this. It's more like, okay, let's sit, and your being, your energy, yourself, your words, your actions, that governs what I pull out of that bag. Because at the end of the day, each person is unique and individual. For me to sit there and say, right, well, this is the only thing I'm going to use on you, is me limiting their potential of healing and growth, rather than me sort of going, okay, right, I'm open and unlimited in what I can do. So therefore, what do you need from me? It's more of a reverse role, that I'm actually saying, what do you need, rather than, this is what I think you want. You know what I mean?
you're kind of like you're like a holistic psychiatrist, because that's what I believe psychiatrists do. They let you, say to you, talk to me, tell me
Yeah,
about yourself,
exactly.
and basically you end up coming to your mum or something, it was my mum or my father.
And at the end of the day too, how I deal with people and what methods I use will be highly, highly elected around that person. If I've got a physically orientated person, someone that is they're going to require, say for instance, physical treatment. It might be massage, it might be reflexology, it might be through acupressure, or
Yeah.
even working on a cellular level. Whereas if I've got someone that's emotional, well then the physical stuff isn't going to work. I'm going to be more inclined to use, say for instance, more of the talking, or helping their brain to reprogram themselves, or to clear that, what I mean. So from a holistic point of view, it's actually being more aware of that client, or that person's requirements, and also their language, their own personal language, rather than me sort of saying, well, this is this is a set thing
Modality.
I do
Yeah.
every time, you know what I mean? So yeah.
That makes more sense to me. That's how I thought you operated. I have and it's interesting that you should say that as well, because I have a really good friend, Kalani, who's she's one of the columnists inside the conspiracy kind of ufology area,
Yes.
and she works hand in hand with with an actual surgeon, but she works on the etheric layers of the body.
Yeah.
And so she has a surgeon friend. They're based in Greece, and he removes actual physical implants on people. She removes the implants in the etheric. So when he's operating
Yeah.
physically with a scalpel or whatever, she's also outside the operating room working on the etheric layer of the
Yeah.
person. While
Cool.
I know, and I'm hearing more and more of this both sides working together. It's kind of like Western and Eastern
Yeah.
medicine coming together, and so it's wonderful to hear, this happening on a number of different levels now. So, because I
Yeah.
remember when I first heard that type of when I was talking to Kalani, I interviewed her 5 years ago, and she had been doing it for like 6 years in Europe at that time.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, it
That's cool.
is, isn't it? So yeah.
Especially when you look back in the what was that? Pretty sure it was the 1920s, 1930s in Europe. They actually in was it Germany? They actually set up a hospital where they had natural doctors, or naturopaths, or I guess in today's language, alternative medicine, working side by side with what we consider orthodox medicine now, which is not really the case, but it's backwards.
Yeah.
But the scientific medicine. So you had natural medicine working with scientific medicine. When you went in there, you actually saw both practitioners, in order to then you might that they'd ask you a bunch of questions and all that sort of stuff. Then they would sit there and say, right, well, from a natural point of view, he's lacking air or sunlight or this, we need to give him that. And then on a scientific level, okay, we're going to bolster his system with this, and it was this medication or whatever, and it actually worked hand in hand. And what they found was that, in all honesty, they had a better response of healing, because it was utilizing both elements of the system. So the only reason it got closed down was because they went to war, and they ended up repurposing the hospital purely for injury, rather than coping mechanisms. Yet you go to places like New Zealand, and they actually have beautiful air houses, or air hospitals, where they were designed to bring more air into the rooms and all that sort of stuff. When their soldiers came home, they were actually utilizing these hospitals to help rehabilitate, and and utilizing things like sunlight, fresh
Yeah, the
air.
solariums and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
I-
And in order, and that's what I mean. But then also doing the psychiatric work and all that sort of stuff with them, and they were noticing that they're same thing, that their soldiers and stuff weren't struggling so much with the PTSD as the soldiers that came back to places like America and stuff where they were shunned and all that sort of stuff. So it's like that's the thing. This cohesiveness of all the aspects would actually be really quite beneficial on a broader scale, because not only could you have the element of, say for instance, surgery or the use of imaging that could then also benefit through ensuring the body's healthy and running at optimum levels through nutrient support or whatever, but then also the spiritual and mental and emotional levels being boosted by making sure that they're actually working, they're building positive mind frames or positive energy frames around them. I mean, there's so much potential that could happen if we were able to adopt a more holistic view of healing and medicine and all that sort of stuff.
I'll completely agree. It's kind of a fallacy in a way, to my mind too. I mean, a lot of the pharmaceuticals that are dished out by modern medicine are based on plants and crystals and all the stuff. And because I had this debate not long back with somebody on lithium, and somebody gave that as an example of modern science, and I just laughed. And they said, "What are you laughing about?" I said, "Well, lithium's a crystal. It's a stone. It's basically you can hold that in your hand or put it in a glass of water, let it become what's it called?
Elixir, yeah,
An elixir overnight, and drink the water the next day, and you'll get the same benefit as popping a pill."
exactly.
And I said, "How do you not know that?" And they went, "Well, that's it, but it's lithium." I said, "Yeah, which is a crystal."
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I basically say, just go and have a look at every drug in your cupboard, basically, and Google the derivative of it and what is inside it. And I can guarantee that most of those will be plant or crystal based.
Yeah. Well, I
But
mean, you look at the basic of aspirin is derived from feverfew, which is an amazing herb to help bring down fevers and stuff like that. It was brewed into a tea or chewed,
yeah,
and all they did was but it also had a anticoagulant effect, which meant that the blood could flow through the areas a lot easier, allowing for nutrients and stuff and inflammation to be able to get out of the system, you know what I mean, or to move from that area. And now they use it as I mean, it's available everywhere, but a
yeah,
lot of people just see it as aspirin. It's because a lot of the time they can't, if it is if it's a naturally found source of something, they can't patent it. So what happens is they take it, they derive the main elements from it, the active components, and then give it a name like aspirin or ibuprofen or whatever. And
and
that's
people are so disconnected, they don't understand this. And I don't know how many times I've had this discussion with people, and I just say, well, where do you think pharmaceuticals came from?
yeah,
I mean, this is like the magicians. This is the potion masters.
exactly.
This is where this is the,
Yeah,
the enchantresses and that you read about, you see on TV or in movies. I mean, that was the basis of most pharmaceutical and most modern medicine. I said people are just the disconnect that the pharmaceutical community has made from natural medicines. Although I shouldn't say that, because they've realised now that the last 5 years, I don't know, they've been trying to monopolise the alternate market,
yeah,
and they kind of forced governments to come down hard on the alternate medicines market, no longer being able to use words like healing or cure with things that
yeah,
they're doing. A lot of even the essential oils have been targeted, for God's sakes. Um, So yeah, it's staggering. And look at cannabis oil, and that's a miraculous plant, which
Yeah.
and it's been suppressed what for 70 years.
Yeah,
And
exactly. And now they're only just starting to bring it back into play, and people are noticing, like they're going, oh my god, this is a miracle. And it's like, we've had it for a long time. It's just now suddenly, we're allowing it back into our existence. You know what I mean? Like it's always been there. It's just
like a lot of people call it, oh, it was the war on drugs that did this, and I said no, it was actually a war on healing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it was. It was they wanted to kill a few more people.
Yeah.
The best way of doing that is, this mysterious thing called cancer, which has never really been defined by, it's. I say this a lot.
Big umbrella that's harboring many, 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 ailments that are considered to be, deadly and all that sort of stuff. Yet, it's funny. Like some people are able to overcome, and some people aren't. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, some of them have got a bit of a stash growing in the backyard, I think.
absolutely. Yeah, no, and I mean, when you look at, I mean, I giggle because it's you even look back at the there was a charter written by George Washington, where he stated that everyone should have, is it three cannabis plants in their backyard to be able to because of the value of hemp was it could be used for clothing, it could be used for making ropes, it could be used for making paper. This was a valued plant that should be in everyone's garden. You know what I mean? Forget the fact that you could, yeah.
Hypothetically, I have 67.
Yeah.
I have highly colourful ones. So
Yeah.
the trick is, if you're going to grow your own, is to get the highly colourful ones and not have a crop, but actually disperse them around your yard.
Yeah.
Hypothetically.
I remember on one of the islands back home, there seemed to be a lot of bonsai tomato plants, and you sort of giggled because you're like, wow, you're into bonsais. They're like, yeah, totally into bonsai. And I'm like, you have no idea what a bonsai is. But it's just one of those things where we just sort of would chuckle because it was just like, wow, like you walk past and there's just all these little bonsai plants, and you knew exactly what they were, but because they were done in such a way, no one sort of really put, six and five together. They just sort of, you went, oh, okay. It's a tomato plant. They're growing cherry tomatoes, No, they're not.
Oh, it's always the way. So what drew you to holistic healing? Was it something you were always interested in, or did you have an experience or some type of event that prompted you, or?
No, I've always been highly aware. So as a little person, I remember. I mean, look, I mean, there's only 14 months difference between me and my brother, and I remember him coming home, and I remember sitting on the couch with him, and seeing this little baby and thinking, man, you're like the coolest thing ever to receive, But and I remember my oldest sister, who is 7 years, that's right, 7 years older than me. I remember her cuddling me the first time. You know what I mean? So I came through highly aware, and even as a little person, I had entities and beings, and be it etherical as well as energetic, peeps coming into my room as a very young person and teaching me things. Mum, still comments of how much I used to sing as a kid, even as a little person, or be awake at ungodly hours talking to people in gibberish, or what she thought was gibberish. And So for me, it was I've always had that connection to the energetic and spiritual realm. So yeah, from a little person, I've always read books about. One of my first books I remember was on Greek and Greek mythology, and the stories behind each of the deities, and I actually did a book review on it in grade 2 because I just love this book so much. So that was my so for me, I've always been fascinated by beliefs. I've always been fascinated by religions. I've always been fascinated by, esoteric studies, and even I guess your conspiracy theories and all that sort of thing. So for me, it's I've always been fascinated by it. At about 12, I then did my first ever dedication ceremony to honouring who I was. I did my first ever moon ceremony, and basically started my journey then to becoming my shamanic self, which took me probably another good 15, 17 years, or 15 years to get there. And, and that meant, a lot of, dark nights of the soul, and a lot of like enlightening moments, and amazing situations that had me interacting with some beautiful and wonderful, amazing people, be it positive or negatively based. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So then, what are we now? 26 years down the track, I'm now sort of feeling a lot more. I'm sort of now able to, sit very comfortably in, being the type of practitioner and stuff that I am because of, having that connection from such a young age. So, it's so there wasn't like it's been like, I mean, it's just been there my whole life. So for me, it's not. There's no really one defining factor that made me sort of go, you know what, this is what I am. It's just sort of like, well, I've always been this way, and it's. I mean, as much as I giggled that my my family has lines of seers in them, and I have also atheists or non-believers in my circle as well. It's been a it was something I couldn't deny from. Well, I haven't been able to deny ever, as being an integral part of me. So yeah, it sort of makes it a. So yeah, for me, there was no real defining factor. It just
It's
always been, and I've always been I've been massaging since I was a little kid. I was the one that would massage shoulders or rub heads or rub feet or things like that. I always had this
that kind of
need to place hands on and all that sort of stuff.
that kind of leads into our next question, actually. So, is it? I suppose this is a way. Well, I was going to ask you to discuss a couple of ways our listeners or readers could integrate a holistic modality with their traditional medicines.
Yeah.
I take it massage would be one of those ways.
Yeah, absolutely, because especially with for example, I had my father he went in for a 4-way bypass and a replacement valve in his heart. Yeah, he had it was probably, a good bloody 10 years ago, but it was one of those things where, for him, he came out and he was in, as we know, when we come out of anesthetic and stuff like that, and especially a massive traumatic surgery and things like that, I realized for Dad, it was implementing. He needed touch. He needed something physical. And one thing I've known from being a little person, his dad always loved his feet being rubbed or his head being rubbed. Now, because of current tubes and stuff hanging out, I couldn't really get to his head to rub his head. So it became his feet. That basically it was in that moment. I mean, I was able to then give him the physical stimulation through his feet, through reflexology and just the applying of hands to help him bring back into his body and come back into that space. Whereas, for example, even with, other people, it's the same thing. I've had a couple of clients going through things like fertility. And so it's working on, and for them, they get so stressed out. And so they're so invested in the outcome that it's like, okay, we need to shift your mind frame. We need to, so implementing things like meditation and even, and even that, element of utilizing things like crystal essences that help calm that system from the inside out, and then but then also doing the meditations to help activate their calmness, their hormonal systems to just chill and to be open to things, means then that like the beauty about holistic medicine, about alternative medicine, complementary medicine, is it complements. It doesn't. It's not them and us.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's so. Yeah. So little things like massage, little things like meditation, deep stretching, whatever, depending on what that person is trying to achieve, can be easily implemented alongside of their conventional medicine. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, is it doesn't have to be. I mean, at the moment, even I'm working with a client at the moment who has had massive amounts of nerve damage done and had to have operations and things like that, and we're utilizing alongside of his regular treatment. We're also doing nerve regulator treatments, so we're doing alongside of massage, alongside of acupressure, alongside of even getting him in physical movement, what I mean, like doing stretching and stuff to help release the tension and stress on these nerves and getting them to reprogram. And that's without even then just retraining his brain through things like meditative states and binaural beat work and frequency working. So I mean, there's, depending on what the person is trying to achieve, there is a myriad of ways that you can support the system, be it through a traumatic effect or be it through that you're going to go through, say for instance, a massive operation, and you're looking for that supportive process to help, one, keep you in the right spirits, but two, also help recovery afterwards.
Yeah, have you heard of the Rife machine?
Yeah, aren't they fascinating? Haven't you
got?
Oh my god, they're amazing.
It's funny, I've got both of them on at the moment. I've got hypothyroidism, so I've got one targeting my thyroid and the other one's doing a detox as we speak. It's all on remote. And then I've also got binaural beats going as we do the interview here.
Yeah, awesome.
So I've got the whole thing. But the Rife machine, I'm doing I've had my own. I got the first Rife about 2 years ago, and then I got a second one, which I have running off my laptop over there, about a year ago. And yeah, I have one running constantly on detox. So it does a 14-day program and then it resets. So basically and it's quite amazing, because it's all frequency based, which I won't go into that because you know all about it, but and it'd be interesting. I want to do delve a little bit more into the frequency side in another interview, to be honest. It's so complex.
Absolutely.
But I find when the cycle's going through the detox, each day it kind of targets different parts of the body internally.
Yeah.
I can tell which day I'm on from what I can actually feel it, which and not everybody can feel the rife working on them remote, but I can actually sense it. And today it's working on the eyes, and I know that because my eyes are just like, oh my God, I shouldn't I put some mascara on. I realized the moment I put the mascara on, today was not the day to do that. It's kind of like, oh my God, it's just everything's coming out at the moment. So I actually the eyes are where I really feel the rife working, because I physically have stuff coming out of my eyes. It's awful.
Yeah. But that's the thing though, like, we're undergoing that shift in our alternative medicine. It was really funny. I wrote a thesis on it back in 2012 about how we're going from like implementing or having, for instance, the combination of natural understanding, say for instance, resonant frequency, biofrequency, biomechanics, all that sort of stuff, coming into and into play with our technology, which is where the Rife machine and all that sort of stuff comes from. Where like even to the point of this nerve therapy, ENR, electroneuroadaptive regulator, works on a biorhythm of the body, and it's so same thing. It's and binaural beats are working on a biorhythm or a frequency of the system that helps to activate brains and new neuro pathways which we're not utilizing. And that's the thing. I mean, that's the amazing part of our alternative therapy, is the fact that it's not traditional medicine that's bridging the gap. It's actually it's your alternative medicine that is actually bridging the gap, and that's where we're getting, for instance, thermal imaging, and that's where we're getting things like hemaview and blood analysis and all that sort of stuff, live blood analysis, rather than
and all the new cosmetic facial surgery, it's all done by frequency. Basically, it's a metal device being placed across wrinkles and the vibration being sent through it. I mean, amazing.
And that's the thing, and that's without even then utilizing crystal frequencies and stuff like that they're also going into. And so I mean, like there's a especially now, like you've got your infrabeds that are utilizing the healing elements of amethyst or tourmaline and things like that, where you lay on it and it's working on that biofrequency of that crystal, as well as the heat and the far infrared rays and all that sort of stuff that are just producing massive amounts of change and energy in the body that is actually running with the body rather than trying to break it or be cathartic. You know what I mean? It's unreal. And that's where things like the Rife machine and stuff like that are just they're our pioneering bridges between us and conventional medicine. It's amazing time.
It's funny, isn't it? Like, I remember 20 years ago, I was learning about crystals. I had a mentor who taught me a lot of stuff. And I remember 20 years ago, I wouldn't leave the house unless I had selenite somewhere on my face or around my neck. I would always have rose quartz in my bra, and I'd have carnelian in my knickers. Yes. That was normal back 20 years ago. And like if I had to do a presentation, I'd always have a blue stone ready to pop in, and I even had little pockets in all of my bras to just pop the crystal in case I went to the gym, because you take your bra off at the gym and the crystals goes everywhere.
Yeah.
it's all, and now it's kind of, the frequency side is it's so much easier using a Rife, because you can just set what you want, and the
Yeah.
frequencies play. And I have at night, just on my iPad, I usually just set my iPad to do binaural beats, whatever's going on at that time. So, and
Yeah.
I've got this night list which goes for about 9 hours, and it
Yeah.
goes from the miracle zone through to the healing zone. So
Yeah.
it's and I'm so used to sleeping with it now. It's just like second nature. It's actually
Yeah.
odd when I don't have it. So
Yeah.
mm,
And you actually find that you actually miss it when you don't have it. Like it's
yeah.
it's a like it becomes such an integral part of your body's healing process too, which is,
And
such a,
your nighttime routine. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So yeah.
So yeah, I just love how everything evolves from like sticking crystals in your bra through to this now. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
although the Rife machines were around in the 50s and 60s, no, even earlier than that, weren't they? When was Royal Rife around? That was the guy that created them. I think it
Ooh.
was around the 40s, I think, 40s,
Yeah, I
50s.
thought he was 40s.
Yeah.
Um,
Geez, that they knocked him off too, didn't they?
yeah.
Every time somebody does anything with frequencies, and they go and do the stupid thing and patent it. Within a year, they're dead. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Government claims the patent. It's
Yeah.
yeah, you should just keep it. You should just basically do mass production straight away. Send one to every household. That's the only way you can actually get something out. So
Mm.
I don't know how people like Elon Musk manage to kind of get away with it, unless he seems to have extremely good luck when it comes to inventing things
Yeah,
compared
he
to.
does, and it's he's definitely an interesting person to be watching at the moment. I think he's
You've seen that Joe Rogan interview, haven't you?
yeah, yeah, like and I've actually watched a few of his, and it's because he for that very reason. I'm just like, man, this is a guy that,
He's scared shitless of AI.
yeah, absolutely. But then
He's
the funny
really
thing is,
seen
like,
something.
he's taken many of Tesla's stuff and implemented it very easily into society.
Mm.
Yet he's still here. You know what I mean? Like, whereas, I mean, poor
Mm.
Tesla. When you look back at the day, I mean, he just got absolutely run through the ringer, and he was never given. It's only now he's starting to become a household name again, and actually being given credit. Little, too late, but
Yeah.
he's still, you know what I mean. So it's and then you look at Elon, and he's basically doing some pretty like full on stuff.
Oh
And
yeah. And getting and not no one's trying. No one's doing anything.
no,
Well,
no,
there's a little bit. There's something going on now. There's something. Since SpaceX came in, he's had pushback. So they obviously don't want him getting off world.
no.
So
Mm.
so that might be the limit. I don't
But
know.
then in saying that, I don't doubt that he'll still do it. You know what I mean? I think,
And he'll get away with it. And
yeah,
that's what's kind of frustrating for me, because why is he special compared
yeah,
to, there's a lot of people out there. I've listened to a lot of them. They either end up dead or mad or debunked, or
yeah,
basically kicked out of society. Or
yeah,
yeah, this guy seems, he's got like a Teflon coating around him.
yeah, yeah. But
So,
I think that's the thing is either. I mean, we could go into conspiracies, but I mean, it's one of those things where you sit there and just
is it a
go,
conspiracy if it's true?
well, exactly, isn't it? Like it's yeah. That's why I'm thinking of it. But and then that's what I mean. So I mean, that's why I think I find him so fascinating is the fact that here is a guy that is basically really pushing so many boundaries. I
Mm.
mean, how long have we been looking for electric cars? How long have they been trying to develop electric cars? And then next thing, suddenly he pops up, and within a couple of years is in mass production of
Mm.
electric cars and but even to the point of like semis and things like that. I mean, he's not just working on one layer. He's still building massive amounts of big like he's taking it, like, even to the point, I think I read somewhere about how there is even the boats and stuff, he's working on those sort of stuff as well, like massive ship liners and stuff that are all fully electric and blah 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 blah. And it's just like, wow, okay, this isn't just, normally you'd see it, they'd perfect one thing and then they'd go to the next thing and then go to the next thing, but he's just like, okay, here's the semis, here's the cars, here's the boats, here's the choppers, the planes, and and it's just so full on. Like, it's not
I think they want this. I think obviously they want us at a certain level of technology so that AI can kick in. I think that's kind of where. But he's now gone. He's trying to go past that with SpaceX and things like that. And I think that's where they've kind of gone, okay, you've had your run, and you got to where we wanted you to get.
Yeah.
And
but as you say, like the AI thing it petrifies him. Because he realizes
that was my takeaway from that whole interview. He saw. I just got the feeling he saw something, and it scared the shit out of him. And because he really thinks AI is a bad idea now, whereas he was its biggest proponent. Years ago.
I think probably for that fact of too, like, even the did I read somewhere about how he even worried about the implications of uploading a consciousness to a computer. Like, it was, like, there's, and that worried him as well, like, for the simple fact that, it's not always going to be the best consciousnesses uploaded, you know what I mean? And
exactly. Depend if you can afford to do that. Usually it's meant you've got to a position of power, and how many powerful people are good people,
Or how many people in power don't have an ego that goes, I'm here for the best of the world rather than just here because I'm looking after my own pocket. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, that's all for our podcast. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a positive review over on iTunes for The Open-Minded Skeptic. My team and I look forward to entertaining you once again in our next podcast. To check when our next podcast is, simply head over to www.tomspod.com. That's www.tomspod.com.